So, you want to learn Japanese? Akiramero. No, I'm just kidding. Please, don't leave, don't leave, don't leave. For real though, I have some nice things for you today. I have a chart, and no BS, we're just gonna dive straight into it. I'll let you know everything you need to know to study Japanese. Let's go. Okay, so as promised, I have a chart here. I have this in the description below, so you guys are gonna be able to look through it yourself. Basically, I have it grouped up into groups like this, like time frame, the active study that you need to be doing, the practice you should be doing, and then just below all that is some resources that you might be using at that point in time. I've separated this into a pre-beginner stage, a beginner stage, an intermediate stage, and then I have a little challenge in there, like a boss fight basically, and then the advanced stage. So starting right off at the pre-beginner stage, the time frame is about 2 weeks or so. So it should take you about 2 weeks to be able to read and write hiragana and katakana. So this is just a very basic foundation for Japanese. If you don't know already, Japanese has 3 alphabets, basically hiragana, katakana, and kanji. I won't go into them, but the kanji is like the Chinese characters. They're borrowed from China, and they're used everywhere. I have some on my hat. Hiragana is kind of more like the very basic alphabet, so children learn this first. And if you can read hiragana, you should be able to read most things, because even kanji that you can't read sometimes has hiragana above it called furigana. So basic children's storybooks, or even sometimes manga has this kind of stuff for you. And then katakana is same sounds as hiragana, just it's looks different. Usually used for like loan words or that kind of thing. So in this case, for like My Hero Academia, so Hero Academia is written in katakana because those are loan words from English. So anyways, you should learn hiragana and katakana first, and while you're learning that, you're also going to be learning pronunciation for Japanese. Luckily for you, if you're an English speaker watching this, it's going to be easier for you to learn how to pronounce Japanese because there's less sounds. And I wouldn't say Japanese is flat.
日本語は基本的にフラットなんで。
There is pitch accent, thanks to Dogen, for letting everyone know that. But it's easier than going from Japanese to learning English. Yeah. So anyways, how are you gonna learn hiragana, katakana? So again, there's a couple of different ways. I have here like a Tofugu guide. And there's a lot of people use apps, and that's great. I recommend using apps. So one of them is Write It Japanese. So this one is interesting because it has quizzes. It lets you hear it and also lets you write it. So I do recommend this app personally. I don't have other hiragana katakana apps. It's just like you just choose a resource that works for you. But the key thing is that you should use something that has mnemonics, or something that has like pictures. So for example, how I learned hiragana, like the hiragana shi, basically it looks like someone's long hair. So she has long hair. It's really not that hard. You can, again, if you're really eager, you can learn this in an afternoon. You might not remember everything, but at least you can go through all of them. But it should take you around 2 weeks to be comfortable with these. So yeah, that's in terms of just hiragana and katakana. So coming back here, you're gonna be learning some pronunciation, hiragana, katakana, and some basic words, some basic vocabulary. While you're doing this, what I'm trying to mention here for practice is you should be immersed. So back when I started learning Japanese, something called AJAT, all Japanese all the time, for those old school people. But I think people still talk about this. But basically, input is very important, and you need to be in immersion as much as possible. So luckily, if you're learning Japanese, you probably do like anime already. Maybe you like dramas, music, that kind of stuff. So just keep immersing yourself in that. Just watch it all the time, listen to it all the time. Just keep learning, listening to Japanese. It's very, very important. You're gonna get the sounds, you're gonna get used to the sounds, and then, you don't have to actively study it. So like, again, I think the goal for you, everyone has different goals for learning Japanese, but to be able to watch anime without subtitles is great. You don't have to do that right away. It's too difficult at first. But just, again, put it on, leave it in the background, and just listen to it, and you'll get used to the sounds. So when you start learning stuff, it'll start start clicking, you know? So that's my recommendation for the first 2 or so weeks. You're at a pre-beginner stage. Okay, so now moving on, we're gonna go to the beginner stage here. So you might be in the beginner stage for at least a year. Again, I don't want to assume too many things because some people are quicker learners than others. Some people have more free time than others. So just generally, maybe around a year or so, you might be considered a beginner, or a little bit longer. That's okay. So once you're able to read hiragana and katakana, you're gonna be moving on to kanji and vocabulary and grammar. So basically, the language itself. So the pre-beginner was just learning how to read a little bit, but now you gotta be learning, the main language. So kanji and vocab, how you study those is, let me go back to the resources down here. So I use something called Remembering the Kanji. This is a pretty old book. I put outdated because I don't think people use this nowadays. Maybe some people do. There's a lot of information out there. But I use this personally, and the thing is, what I mentioned earlier about mnemonics, having like a story or some picture or something to help you remember the kanji. I did Remembering the Kanji for 3 months, so I literally only studied kanji, how to write it, and a keyword in English. I did not learn onyomi or kunyomi, which is how to read the kanji like in Japanese itself. I learned nothing of that, just literally just recognizing these kanji. So that's why it's called Remembering the Kanji. However, after I started studying Japanese, or after I learned already, Wanikani came out. So it's interesting because I've never actually used Wanikani, but everyone that is studying Japanese that I know has used Wanikani. It seems like it's a better version of Remembering the Kanji. It has mnemonics, it has quizzes, it has a bunch of things. So it is a paid subscription, I believe. I think you can do free, a portion of it for free, but I do recommend checking this out for learning kanji. And it's by Tofugu, who does the other resources, so I do recommend checking them out. So Wanikani is one way to learn kanji, and another one is Bunpro, so not for kanji, but for grammar itself. So again, this is not something I've used that much because these things did not exist when I started studying Japanese a long time ago. But this is very popular. I do ask my friends what they used to study, and Bunpro comes up a lot. The key thing about these things, and maybe even when you're learning hiragana, katakana, is spaced repetition systems, SRS. So here comes the big one, Anki. So Anki is the old school guy. You've probably heard of it already if you're studying Japanese. It's also used for non-Japanese studying purposes, but it is the OG. It is the big app. The thing is, there is a high learning curve to using Anki. You can get things called decks. Well, basically, what is Anki? Sorry, an SRS is basically like flashcards. So it's going to show you a card with something on the front, and then you try to see if you know it or not, and then you click, and then it's going to show you the back of the card, and then that's it. It's going to test your knowledge, so it can have something on the front like a kanji, and then you try to remember what the kanji means or how you pronounce it, and then on the back it'll tell you how to read it itself. So there's different ways to do it. It's very flexible, very powerful system. And the thing is that this is why it's called spaced repetition system, is that it's going to test your knowledge automatically. So for example, this card that says hon or whatever, a book, I know it, so then it's going to show it to me again tomorrow. And then tomorrow I still know it, so I know it, and it's going to come back to me again in a week. In a week, do I still know it? Yes, I still do. So it's going to come back to me in a month, in 2 months, in 6 months. Whereas, like, for example, I don't know this word for like the kanji for rose, for example. What is that? I forgot. So it's going to show it to me again in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And then I remember it, so it's going to show it to me in 2 hours, and then 6 hours, and then a day, 2 days. But if I forget it, it's going to start all over again. So the difficult words or whatever you're studying, grammar, words, vocab, whatever, is going to come up to the top a lot, and then the stuff that's very easy, you're not going to see it very often. So it's very genius, very good system to use, and I used Anki for 2 years at least, probably, or more. And even right now, if I want to start studying new Japanese, I did a video on Jido Jisho for Android, which lets you create Anki cards from anime or from books. So I didn't get too in-depth into that video, but you can just check it out and ask me questions anytime. But yeah, you're probably going to use Anki. But the setting up Anki is like a whole nother thing, so I'm not going to get into it in this video, but just be aware of it, okay? But otherwise, WaniKani and Boom Pro are very, very good resources. So you're going to be doing this for around a year or so. And again, I wanted to mention in the beginner stage, it says N5 to N3. There's this thing, if you don't know already, called the Nihongo Noruku Shiken, or the JLPT, Japanese Language Proficiency Test. And there are 5 levels to it, with N1 being the most difficult and N5 being the easiest. So a lot of people maybe skip taking the first couple of levels. Maybe they wait till they're good enough to take N3 or N2. If you want to work in Japan, you need an N1. N2s, maybe you can do it. Some places may do it, or university. Like, I think you need N2 at least to be able to go to university. Personally, I have N2. I have not tried to go for N1. I need a goal. Somebody give me a goal. Maybe I should shoot for N1. Eventually, I do want to do it. But here where I am in Canada, it's only once per year that you can do the test. So and it was in December, so next one is in a year from now. Whoops. So we'll see about that. But anyways, if you're N5, then yeah, you're a beginner. You're just starting out. So N5, N4, N3 kind of in the beginner. N3 is more intermediate, but I'm just gonna group it all together here. Okay, so while you're studying kanji, you're studying grammar, vocab, all this kind of good stuff. You're immersing yourself in anime, watching dramas, that kind of thing. How about trying language exchange? So if in your city there are Japanese people, reach out to them. Easiest way, again, use the Meetup app. If you're in Toronto, you can join my meetups. I have them a couple times per week. But otherwise, in your city, if you open the Meetup app, there should be something going on. So at language exchanges, you can sit down with native speakers and practice speaking and listening, and they'll teach you stuff and you teach them stuff. So it's great. A lot of my close friends in this world were made from language exchanges. I met some really wonderful people, and yeah, lifelong friends. So when I go to Japan, there's a bunch of people I want to meet. Maybe you're watching this video, I don't think so, but hey, hello, konnichiwa. So yeah, so I really recommend language. It's gonna enrich your life in many ways, not just for Japanese, but also the possibility to make friends. So do go there. Even when you're just studying hiragana, still go reach out to people. The point of a language is to communicate with other people, right? So just go out there, do it, meet people, let's go. So let's move on then. So now let's say that you're on the second year or so now. You think you're Jozu, maybe people have told you Nihongo Jozu, you never know. You're gonna be, you should be, like I say, sentence mining. So again, using like Jido Jisho or other apps, for example, jpdb.io or japanese.io or other ones. You can just start mining sentences. So mining means like basically making your own Anki flashcards. So you're just gonna keep doing that. You're also gonna be reading. Reading is very important as well too. So a lot of emphasis on like watching anime, watching dramas, listening is very important. But if you want to get like really good, you have to read more. I'm guilty of not reading enough, actually. So I can speak pretty well IRL with people, and I've done a lot of Anki, so I know quite a few words. But if I want to improve my Japanese even more, I have to do more reading. That's just a thing. So these resources like Japanese.io, they let you have like text, or they bring up articles that you can click stuff, and then it comes up with a dictionary. So there's a bunch of different ways. And then I'm also curious to know how you guys sentence mine, or what you guys read. I'm also trying to read a novel now, thanks to Jido Jisho. Now I'm able to read it because the words come up. But yeah, again, if you really want to become fluent in the language, you have to be able to read things. So yeah, while you're doing this, visit Japan. Why not? Go to Japan. This is part of the practice section, right? So visit Japan, go meet people. Yeah, try to use your Japanese out in the wild. You know, that's the best way. People say, oh, go to a country to learn the language. Well, learn a little bit first, get the basics, and then go practice it out in the wild. It'll really help you out. And like Japan's an amazing country anyway, so why wouldn't you go? I'm sure that's the goal for anyone watching this video, right? So go to Japan, visit Japan. It's gonna be a great time. And then do things in Japanese. So maybe change your phone to Japanese. Or yeah, maybe start watching anime without subtitles. Or yeah, just immerse yourself more. It's just, that's why I have an arrow across all of these. Just keep immersing yourself. At some point then, challenge, boss is here. Try the JLPT, see where you're at. I'm glad I did the JLPT because it did give me a goal to reach for. So I wanted to pass the N2 at least. So I failed the first time, but I got it the second time. But I studied a lot in the months leading up to the JLPT. So I do recommend testing your knowledge. Even if you're N5 or N4 or whatever, yeah, why not? It won't help you get a job right now, but it'll give you something to go for, right? I want to take a step back for a second, actually. So all of this is with the caveat that you're trying to learn Japanese by yourself. Everyone's a different type of learner. Some people need a more guided and structured approach. So again, this is all good if you can motivate yourself and study. But if you want to take a class, like, go for it. I think that this is the best way to study Japanese personally, because this is how I did it. But if you need structure, like, definitely take a class, get a tutor as well if you want to. Yeah, just someone that'll kind of push you along. Even maybe using AI these days. I can't believe I'm saying this, but yeah, ChatGPT and stuff like that is very useful now. So you can practice your Japanese with it. As long as, you know, you're in some kind of community, you have other people pushing you along, you have some motivation, you should be able to do well. So I don't recommend textbooks exactly, like Genki. A lot of people like Genki, Tobita as well. There's a couple of them. If you want to use them, if they help you out, like, go for them, yeah. But I really recommend the method that I'm teaching you right now, because this is how I did it. By the way, don't use that Duolingo Bird app. It's terrible, absolutely terrible. If you want to, for entertainment as a game, like, I did it as well. I did a live stream on that. But if you want to learn weird sentences like sushi to mizu kudasai, water and sushi please. Like, what? Sushi and rice please. Even if you do the whole thing, like, there's a bunch of videos on this. Like, don't use only Duolingo. If you want to entertain yourself, if it makes you happy, sure, go for it. But that is not the best way. I want to give a shout out to another resource, Human Japanese. You can start with light and then go for the paid one. So this one explains things in a very readable way for people, very human way. It's Human Japanese. So it kind of explains everything in simple terms. So some people really like this app. I've not used it. I've maybe done like a chapter or two. It seemed pretty nice because I don't need it anymore. But yeah, definitely go for it. Okay, so just the last part of this then. Basically, once you're at the advanced stage, N2, N1 like me, it's up to you. You know, the beginning is very easy. You're gonna kana, then it's kind of a straight line here. But you have to do what you gotta do. It depends on your goals. If you wanna live in Japan, you wanna work in Japan, yeah, go for that. Do what you need to do. You know, apply for a visa, look for a job, and work in Japan. Live and breathe Japanese every day. So that's great. Take more tests if you want. Even beyond the JLPT, there are a bunch of other tests apparently. So if you like taking tests, that's good. Run your own community. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. So even though I'm living here in Canada, and I immerse myself, like, I watch anime still, not as much as I used to, and then watching dramas, playing games. Again, like I mentioned, language exchange is great. I run it because it's a great way to meet people, and I keep my Japanese up. So you can do whatever you want. Yeah, The last section here is not very powerful, but I assume that if you're watching this video, you are not at the advanced stage yet. This is just something to keep in mind, okay? So yeah, I think I've touched on everything here in this chart. Yeah, please just take a look at it yourself. Please comment below. I want to help people learn Japanese, and if any Japanese people are watching this as well too, I want to help you learn English. So guys, please comment, like, subscribe, and look forward to more videos from me. I hope this has been helpful to you. And that's it. じゃあ、またねみんな. Thank you. Bye bye.